Welcome back, everyone, to the Complete Pineleaf. I am back here with Otto after I went out and set a few traps for him. So let's see what he says now. Many in Hootvis think me mad, but the children believe me. They have heard the old tales from their mothers and fathers, those sinister rhymes that speak of Old Man Ub, a creature come out of the night to punish children for their misdeeds. Ha! Nonsense! But buried within the fables their parents tell them of Ub, there are truths of which I dare not speak. Ask the children of Hotfis about the one called Ub. All right, I'll talk to them about Old Man Ub. What else does he want? Before the creature came to dwell at the wood's edge, it first made its home in the ruins of Avabarg. It was long after the Northmen abandoned the old keep, but long ago just the same. Yes, long before even my grandfather was born. In the depths of Avabarg, the creature hid from the only thing it feared, the light. But in the dark of the night it would creep forth. On some nights the creature would merely sit atop the walls of Avabarg and peer across the river with its unblinking eyes. On others it would sneak across the Anduin and, through some devilry, it would conceal itself from the sight as it drew near to our villages. My people were taken from their homes, from their beds, and always the trail led to Avabarg. When my ancestors found gnawed bones in the depths of Avabarg, they could no longer deny what we feared. Our people were not taken, they were devoured. I don't know what changed the mind of the creature, but it came to fear Avabarg, and so it abandoned the island. Yet its foul deeds are not forgotten to the stones and of that old keep. The spirits of those who met their ends in Avabark still linger, and they cannot rest. So I need to put those spirits to rest that were there. But before I do that, I think I need to speak with some children about Old Man Ub. What do you say? Father says if I lie to him, my hair will fall out like Ub's did. Ub had no hair, right? So we're talking about rather rather bald creature then. All right, what can you tell me about Old Man Ub? If I forget to bolt the door, Ub might take my little brother. Hmm. Alright, so Ub goes around stealing children, it sounds like. Alright, that's quite a nasty disposition that Ub has. What can you tell me about Old Man Ub? I'm sure you'll have something interesting to say. If I don't finish my supper, Mother says I'll end up eating worms and grubs like Old Man Ub. So that's what he ate when he couldn't eat children, it sounds like. Ugh, this is a real nasty fellow. What can you tell me about Old Man Ub, little lad? Don't leave the shutters unlatched on a cold night. Ub might steal your shoes for his scabby feet. So he has scabby feet? Alright. Let's see. What? Well, let's see. How about a little down here, a little down here, a little down here? And is this someone who wants to talk to me about Old Man Ub, or is this someone with a new quest?
We've done
Oh, will
what we
you
want
let...
to survive, but I worry it won't be enough.
I have suffered in silence since the ending of the war, but I cannot bear it any longer. My husband, Beramid, fell in Avabarg in the final days of the war. We had pushed our foes into the walls of Hultvis to the islet, and victory seemed certain, until Druckstas came. Before either of us could loose an arrow at him, the terrible warg leapt forth and tore into Berriman's throat. With the last strength, my husband slashed Druckstas' flank and loosened his entrails. The beast withdrew into the catacombs of Avabarg to die. Or so I thought. But I have seen his eyes glowing in the night. They stare at me across the waters of the Anduin from Avabarg. You must believe me. I had promised Berriman that I would avenge him. But I can't go back to that place. I cannot face that creature again. And Druckstas knows my shame and taunts me with it. I beg you, slay Druckstas and put out those terrible eyes. Well, it might not be relevant to the storytelling, but it sends me to the same island. There are a few more who may tell me about Old Man Ub. Old Man Ub? Oh, I'm too old for that story. Well, so apparently that's something that's only told to children. Alright? Eating grubs, having no hair. What could you tell me about Old Man Ub? Or are you too old for that story too? It's no good to go out after dark. Old Man Ub will take me. Well, Old Man Ub certainly likes to operate in the dark, but I suppose if you're sneaking around and trying to snatch things, you're not going to be going out into broad daylight, right? I thought I saw Old Man Ub shining in the dark one night, but it was just some fireflies. Alright, so Old Man Ub has shining eyes. This doesn't look like someone who knows about Old Man Ub.
Our folk are tough and strong, like the trees of the wood.
You're the one called Pineleaf? I've heard tales of your adventures in the Vales, but tell me, have you passed near Malvang yet? Until recent days, it was a farmer's village, but the orcs have come upon it at night and set it aflame with cruel sort of amusement as they traveled north to the road of Hultvis. My family was fortunate enough to survive, but others, they were lost in the fires. Riekmar told me that the few remains of our kinfolk that were found in Malvang had been given to their families for burial. But all else was lost. I have no reason to doubt the words of my chieftain, but I do not wish to believe it so. Couldn't some memory still linger in the ruins? Would you travel to the ruins of Malvang, Pineleaf? Search for anything that remains intact, that I might return it to the keeper, or honor its memory myself? What more?
Hail, fine traveller.
Oh, and while you're there, could you collect some meat from boars? Right. I should have known eventually we'll go to a boar hunting quest. One less child to inquire about. What about Old Man Ub? I don't want to talk about Ub. Mother says it brings bad luck. Yes, I suppose it may. I spoke with the children. Do you believe them, Pineleaf? If you knew as I do, you would. Yes, but for some reason, those descriptions sound a little bit familiar. There's the island, and I can see why the Rohirrim didn't stay there for very long. It doesn't exactly look like a place conducive for horses. Now, how do I get up there? Ah, this part of the island meets the river. So now let's see if I can find these spirits. A certain warg. And, oh yes, some beckberries. And who knows, maybe I could even find a clue or three about this old man Ub. Right now we have horses. Well, some try to comment about it not being very conducive for horses. Hold on, I heard something over there. It's... Ah! Orcs. Well, apparently, the orcs like to take over any place that they find, especially if it's a place people don't frequent too often. So they could use that as a staging area for places that people do frequent. Yeah. Now, I guess I can't ask him about... Oh, beckberries. There we go. I think I have enough berries now, so let's see if I can find those spirits. And that really nasty warg anywhere around here. This place seems to be... gotten a bit older. Starlight. Are these the spirits they're talking about, or are they talking about different spirits? One never knows. Well, I suppose you could just hover over them and look at the tooltip and find out that way. Vale's Dead Slayer, alright. And that did count. So I guess that answers that question. So I guess I need to kill 10 of these. And find a warg. And the warg is, I think, deep down in the dark. Oh, hello. Could you tell me where deep down in the dark is? No, they're too sorrowful. They're saying, I'm a victim of Old Man Up. Oh boy. It looks like these things are all over the place. Alright. They just keep on coming endlessly. Well, I'll have to see if I can get my way through here. That doesn't involve fighting every single spirit in here. I haven't found the warg yet, but I did find this piece of paper. What's on this?
Somewhere yet he lurks and lingers, scrabbling with his scabby fingers, neath forest dark or dusky hill. Old man Ub, he hungers still.
Ooh, that's creepy. I can't find a warg anywhere around here, but I did find these old bones. Let's see what happens. Hold on. Oh! Grotstars the Undying. Well, let's see if I can remove that title from you. I hope so. It'd be bad news for me if I don't. Unless I guess he slinks away or something like that. Well, let's see what we... Hey! Stop it! Stop it, I say. No pounding pines. That's what I gotta say. No pounding pines. Alright. And now with that, I think it's time for me to get out of this place. First, I'll just turn in those berries.
An ill wind troubles the river.
Let's see what you've gathered. These ought to do the trick. I would distill them into a tincture of my own recipe, and I will see that all in need would drink of this extract. The Northmen may have abandoned the Vales long ago, but what a great gift they have left for us. Alright, fine. You're welcome. Now, let's see if I can... Oh, isn't he up here somewhere? I've put those spirits to rest. The creature does not age as men do, Pineleaf. As many of my ancestors grew old and died, it only grew more gaunt and wicked. Avabarg remains a place of great sorrow, and I'm grateful you have put the spirits of my ancestors to rest. May they never be forgotten. He grew old and gaunt. Perhaps I misjudged you. It is difficult for me to speak of it, but if you wish to hear the tale of the night I met Ubil, I will tell you. All right? Let's hear it. Oh, forgive me. After all the time, the memory of the night still pains my heart. It's not old man Ub that the children of Hootvis fear, but Ubil, the Snatcher. Ubil the Snatcher.
Ubil the Snatcher. My father, Bjorn, told me of that creature in my youth. He thought it a gangrel beast that crawled from some dark cleft in the night. For many years it crept unseen into the villages of the woodmen, and stole away their children to sate its hunger. But when it could hide no longer, the creature fled the vales of Anduin, never to return.
It was very long ago, Pineleaf. The Snatcher had vanished for hundreds of years, and my people had abandoned their vigil. I was a boy then, only days past the start of my 8th year. My sister, Amelina, was nigh on her 4th, but her birth had taken our mother. If only it had ended there! One night, I woke to a great clattering. The shutters were open, and Amelina was gone. Muddied footprints had been left in Amelina's bed, but no other sign of her remained. After that day, my father rarely spoke. In the mornings, he rose with the sun to search for Amelina, and when darkness fell, he would stand watch at the gates of Hootvis. And so it continued, until one night, not 1 month later. Yes? A scream woke all Hootvis. Ubil the Snatcher had returned. Through my window I saw the light of the countless torches. Even women still in their bedgowns carried them. Another child had been snatched. Ubil's wickedness could not go unanswered again. Fearful of the light, the Snatcher screeched and sputtered as my people drove it out of Hootvis. But the Snatcher had claimed another life as it fled. Father was dead. When I learned what had happened, I ran to my father's side. His throat had been torn open, gnawed by the wicked jaws of the Snatcher. I embraced him and wept. I did not understand. The Snatcher had fled in plain sight, and none in Hootvis pursued it. My father was dead, and for what? Sorrow turned to anger, and I ran to the home where the family had once lived. I tore through my father's belongings with tears in my eyes, but it was no longer long before I found his dagger. If revenge was to be taken, I thought, it would have to be me. It'd have to be by my own hand. With father's dagger in my hand, I crept out of Hootvis into the woods. No one saw me leave. I wandered for what seemed to be like hours. I should have given up, but didn't. My thoughts turned to my family I no longer had. I remembered that father had allowed me to accompany him on a hunt not long before Amelina had been taken. A hart was grazing in the lowlands, unaware that father's eyes were upon him. Father drew his bow, and though the creature must have sensed its peril, the arrow was loosed. The hart darted, but father's arrow had flown true. It pierced the hart's hind leg, and the beast stumbled. The hart fled as fast as its hooves could bear it, but father carefully followed its uneven, bloody tracks. By the time we came upon it, the heart had collapsed in pain. Father slew that its suffering might be ended, but as my thoughts returned to that dreary night, I felt no such duty. In the pouring rain, I found the Snatcher's mud-slicked footprints. With as much haste as I could muster, I followed him westward towards the cliffs overlooking the Anduin. Right? Over towards the cliffs to look for the creature's lair. At the wood's edge, I found Ubil, the Snatcher. In tales of old, it was said that Ubil had been thin, black hair, and he often wore clothing that is stolen from the whole Budan. The pallid creature I saw before me bore little resemblance to Ubil the Old, but I knew that it could be no other. I trembled in the cold rain, but there was no turning back. Father had to be avenged. Oh well. He had to be avenged. What would Father have thought of me? What fool I had been! I was no practiced warrior, no hunter of bees. I was a boy swinging a dagger in the rain. The Snatcher twisted and slithered away from me like some sort of demon serpent. It crackled and sputtered at me, and with a single lunge it wrested the dagger from my hand. A cruel delight gleamed in the Snatcher's eyes as it flung Father's dagger into the Anduin. But there was no time to mourn its loss. The Snatcher bared his teeth with a dreadful, rotten grin. I did not wait for Ubil to strike again. I ran as fast as I could. Yeah, I guess you would. Until the Snatcher chased me into the darkness. What happened next? I ran and I ran and I ran. I darted behind bushes, leapt over fallen trunks and branches, and cast down anything that might slow the Snatcher's pursuit. My throat was raw and my legs burned, but I didn't matter. I knew that if I gave in, if I dared to grow weary, the Snatcher would kill me. But what if it did? Would I see Amelina again? And what of Mother and Father? What would one more moment of pain in my life be worth? The Snatcher suddenly stopped. For a moment it stood still as if transfixed by an unseen spirit. But then it began to speak. With the horrible voice it had, it choked between its words, but it seemed to be speaking to someone. As I watched it carry on in heated conversation, my breath returned to me. I began to hope that it had forgotten its pursuit. As if in answer, the Snatcher caught sight of my gaze. It flew into a frenzy, shrieking and thrashing madly at whatever unseen spirit was there. Ubil scrambled towards me with a hunger in its eyes. Without a thought, I turned and ran. Yeah, that's probably the only thing you could do there. Whew. My legs gave out beneath me as I ran. It was over, I thought. I shut my eyes. With my eyes shut, I felt the Snatcher's breath upon me. The Snatcher wrapped his fingers around my neck, but all of a sudden, I heard a great roar. It was Bjorn. Fearing the skin changer's wrath, the Snatcher loosed its grip and fled, cursing into the woods. I thought I was dead. When I opened my eyes, I saw the skin changer, Bjorn, standing above me. It was a trick of my mind, some dying fantasy, I thought. But it wasn't. Bjorn lifted me from the ground and held me in his arms. He tore some cloth from his own breast, wrapped me in it, and he delivered me to Hultvis. Without a word, Bjorn left. I never saw him again. That is all there is to tell. Quite a tale, and it gives another name to that creature. Many years later, I learned that Bjorn had died. It was said that the Snatcher was driven off by his kin, but the Snatcher lives longer than men, longer even than those with the gift of Bjorn. If ever I dare to leave Hultvis, how can I be certain that Ubil does not still lie in wait for me? Well, I don't know if you'll believe that Hultvis had a certain accident at a certain mountain. Don't you understand? I beg you, do not make me tell it again. Well, yes, the creature you describe, I believe, is one called Golem. And that creature no longer lives. He died in Mordor. No. Even if Ubo has left the Vales, it will not be long before he returns. But if he's truly gone from the Vales, we might be able to keep him out for good. Some of the totems carved by my people are thought to repel evil spirits and demons. If you were to set them throughout the wood's edge, it might keep Ubil from ever returning to Wood's Edge. And one must set the sorrow well. There is a curse upon that place, and I will speak no more of it. Please, do this for me, and perhaps then I might believe that Ubil is truly gone. Perhaps we'll have to humor this man so that he will be convinced that Ubil is gone. Though I'm pretty sure he's no longer alive, we might as well ooze his sorrows. And we'll do that in the next episode of The Complete Pineleaf.